so now we're at the pastor's report. And what I love about the pastor's report is the directions that I get from the pastor's report are pastor's report. And that's it. That's it. So I've come up with a pastor's report this year that may be different from other years, but I'm hoping that it will both bless you and challenge you this year. This is the 7th year that I've stood before you at a church conference and given my pastor's report. I was figuring it out this weekend, and I've given well over 300 sermons in my 6+ years here. I've led 25 funerals with Bruce Cumberworth this past weekend, and not so many weddings, but I'm okay with that part. I've baptized 33 people, 20 kids, and 13 adults in 6 years. Taught dozens of Bible study in small group and Sunday school classes. Visited the young, the not so young, the healthy, the sick, the lonely, the shut-ins, and those that shut themselves out. I've reached out to those who've fallen away from our community and brought in new people to our community. I've grown from a 30-year-old, just out of seminary, single woman with a 12-year-old kid, to a late 30s married pastor with a family of 5 or 6 or sometimes 9 in the house.
Depends on the day.
It depends on the day. I've learned a lot over the past few years. I've learned what it looks like to be a pastor to people seeking leadership and guidance and hope and help. I've seen the good and the not so good that church people can come up with. As a church, we've changed in innumerable ways. We've gone from the church that no one knew existed still, to the church that this town looks to for help and leadership and support. We've gone from an average age of 65 with few kids and little hope to change, to an average age of around 40 with tons of kids and great prospects for the future God is leading us into. We have programs that are bringing people in from the community at least 5 days a week. We're preaching the gospel on Sunday mornings and on Wednesday nights and living it out the other days of the week. We watched Pack It Up, our take-home meal program, go from feeding just a couple dozen kids to having served over 123,720 meals over the last 5 years. We've offered VBS this summer in a unique way, over 6 Wednesdays instead of 1 week. We had 24 kids, 18 of whom were not our church kids. We had over 45 adult volunteers as well. We're a church that's responded to culture in such a way that our biggest night of outreach is Halloween night, when we welcome some 600 people through the doors with the promise of one-stop trick-or-treating in a safe, dry, bathroom-rich environment, offering family pictures and hot chocolate on cold, rainy nights. We're a church that has seen the need to restructure our administration and who has done and is continuing to do the hard work of reorganizing our leadership and living into our new leadership council with its ministry teams and streamline the process to free more people up from ineffective meetings and procedures to the work of effective and powerful ministry. We're a church that has grown by leaps and bounds into the mission that God has given us of being a community called to live in relationship with Christ, to love like there's no tomorrow, and to serve and minister to our community. And yet, we're a community that struggles to fill seats on Sundays, that sees the summer exodus stretch longer and longer into the fall each year, that finds it a challenge to get enough volunteers and even more challenging to meet the budget, let alone to pay the large mortgage we have on our buildings. We're a church of people who like our friends, who welcome our acquaintances, and who say hi to the stranger and guest, but who has many members that are absent, who have just flat out left. We're a church of broken people who are busy and tired, who are overbooked and under-resourced, who too often give into petty rivalries and who feel the burden and the pain of letting go of bitterness and offering forgiveness. We're a church who welcomed 17 new members this spring and is ushering out several more tonight, with others who we've allowed to slide away silently. We're a church that has taken too lightly our baptismal vows and our membership vows, who struggles to pray together, to serve together. And we're a church that is part of a larger denomination which is in turmoil, in the midst of a culture in just as much turmoil. But we're a church who wants to be faithfully and passionately and sacrificially in love with Jesus Christ. We're a people who know that Jesus is the only way, and we want to walk that way. We're a people who find hope in the offer of hope, even when our situations and the world around us sometimes look hopeless. Even though we're a broken people, we desperately cling to the God who makes all broken things new. And we're going to be a church who actively seeks God's face and who seeks to be the people close to his heart, be with the people close to his heart. The poor, the lonely, the outcast, the stranger, the strange ones, the ill, the infirm, the emotionally, physically, and mentally challenged. The ones who don't look like us, the ones who don't act like us, and the ones who don't think like us. The ones who aren't here yet, who don't know God's love, who don't know the power of Christian community. We are going to be the people who pray faithfully, who study our Bibles diligently, who worship passionately, who serve indiscriminately, and who give in the same way that Jesus did, sacrificially. Now, as we've seen, this is going to make some people uncomfortable. It's going to make some people mad. It's going to make some people long for the days when it was simple enough to come to church, hear a nice message, grab an okay cup of coffee in the lobby, and go back to their daily lives. But God is calling us to be the church. To be the place where the sick find healing, where the lonely find friendship, where the broken find their wholeness, where the outcast and the marginalized find other outcast and marginalized people and make a home. So we will live into that calling. We will teach and preach the gospel with our Sunday morning sermons and Christian education classes on Sunday and Wednesday, and new classes forming on Tuesdays and even on Facebook. We'll start more small groups to help people live life together. We're offering hope and support to those who are dealing with illness and declining health. We'll mentor more kids through Kids Hope USA. We'll feed more school kids through Pack It Up as we expand over the next several months to provide food over the weekends. We'll even start learning Spanish together, brothers and sisters, with SSL classes, Spanish as second language classes, so we can start building relationships with and ministering to and with the Latino and the migrant population in our area. We're engaging more kids and youth with classes and at schools. We're working to keep young adults involved in the Christian community at a time when so many of them leave the church. We're engaging all age groups and offering ways for anyone to hear, encounter, and share the love of God. I've been the pastor of Coopersville United Methodist Church for over 6 years now. We've done a lot together, experienced many joys, and shared many griefs. And we have a lot to do still together. I look forward to, with hope, anticipation, joy, and expectation, and tons of other adjectives that I couldn't get written down, to the task of holiness that God has for us, for you, and for me, for the priesthood of all believers who call this church home. As a follower of Christ, we have a lot of dying and a lot more growing to do. As ministers of God, we have a lot of good news to share, a lot of hope to offer, and a lot of work to get about doing. And if we want to be the church that God is calling us to be, then we all, every single one of us, needs to be about that work, the work of God. Now, I didn't intend to preach a sermon to you, but there you go. You're probably used to it by now. Oh, yeah. It's one of my spiritual gifts at work. And now it's time to put yours to work too. Amen.